signal now for when I'm needed. But when that light hits the sky, it's not just a call. It's a warning to them.
Yes, sir. Welcome to Beyond the Bat Signal. I'm your host, Dominic Unica. Join me as we dive into the depths of Batman's lore, dissecting the Rogues Gallery, and uncovering the stories of our iconic vigilante known as the Dark Knight. Beyond the Bat Signal is a very proud member of the Batman Podcast Network. Please check out Batman-on-film for a whole list of Batman-related shows, including a couple of Spider-Man, that you can find on there. Now, with that being said, we are going to talk about Harvey Dent's backstory. Now, how did this come to be? Quite interesting, because I was playing Arkham Shadow and thinking about the Batman Part 2, and I'm like, man, they're really trying to cast this Christopher Dent, and who's going to play Harvey Dent's father. And I'm like, where are they going to draw inspiration from? And I said, Arkham Shadow is easily one of the best sources to draw inspiration from. Easily. That game is such an influence on Harvey Dent. And not only that, then I was like, okay, well, I started reading some comics, obviously, and one that stuck out for me was Batman Annual 14, Eye of the Beholder, and that is another Two-Face origin story, but it also gives a little bit of a backstory of Harvey Dent, his childhood, and his upbringing. And I said, well, let's do a cast just based on this. Educate myself, and maybe, just maybe, that someone learns something. Who knows? And heck, it'll be fun to look back on and see if, this, not that this podcast, but that the video game or the comic touched on a couple of points as to how Harvey Dent comes to be in the Batman Part 2 and what role Christopher Dent plays. And it's fun to kind of explore. Heck, why not? And again, it gets me talking about another Arkham game. It gets me talking Batman. So, strap in, ease the seat back, and let's enjoy the ride. So, if you haven't played Arkham Shadow, I highly recommend that you do. It's that VR game, which, heck, you can go check out the full spoiler review on this very podcast. Just scroll on down. I can't remember what episode, if it was like episode 30 or something. But let's get into the thick of things. You flip a coin. Heads, you're safe. Tails, you get hurt. Now, put your mind into a child and imagine that child, that's how the father decides your fate, by a flip of a coin. Now, when it comes to Batman Annual number 14, Eye of the Beholder, there is no doubt that this is a definitive psychological origin of Harvey Dent as a child, and we get some insight. Like, we don't know who Harvey's dad's name is. It's not given to us. But we are aware that his father is abusive. He likes to drink, and that's how Harvey grew up. And he introduces this coin flip to Harvey. So heads, Harvey is spared, and then tails, Harvey is punished. Think about what that does to a kid, and psychologically, where he's like, I didn't do anything wrong, but he's showing up home as a kid to a father who's ready to beat him, and how terrifying that might be. Actually, in the eye of the beholder, Harvey's having nightmares and keeping Gilda up all night, just like, listen, I heard you talking in your sleep. And she even reveals near the end of that story where she's like, I began to hate Harvey's dad more than he did. Now, this isn't just abuse. This is randomized abuse where there's no logic, no fairness to this child, and no control. And it was just, I'm just going to flip a coin and see. And it makes my stomach turn just to think about, and how someone can just do that to a child and they have to live in constant fear when they get home. And I guess this is what's going to make the Batman Part 2 so compelling. Like, what boundaries are they going to push? And I'm really curious as to, like, the boundaries that Christopher Dent pushes. Psychologically, there's going to be, like, in this story alone, the impact, especially for Harvey, where pain is basically unpredictable. He has no idea when he's going to feel it. And what does he do? And you kind of see, fast forward into Harvey Dent's future, where he's like a highly regarded district attorney trying to take guys down. But, there's a gift that was sent to Harvey, and it was a 2-sided head coin. And for him, he grows up, and he grows up fast, to be a symbol of justice, kind of like Batman and Jim Gordon, but with repressed thoughts, repressed feelings. And the truth is like, he's hiding Big Bad Harv all the way down and trying to repress that anger. And, it's showing in that story that Harvey is not stable, at all. And he's trying to control it, and he does. And it's what puts him over the edge. Like, what is it that actually puts him over the edge? And just like The Long Halloween, Eye of the Beholder, which was made beforehand, Long Halloween adopted this story where you have Maroni. It wasn't necessary. Yeah, it was Maroni who threw that acid right at Harvey Dent's face, right in the courtroom. And it's like he just it was that one big push, as the Joker says, that got the monster out. But Harvey Dent just didn't become obsessed with justice. He became dependent on it. And it's like, well, you got into the law to help take down all the criminals and all the bad guys. And it's like, well, why? And there was inspiration from his childhood. Now, you look at Arkham Shadow, which does a phenomenal job, and I really do believe that it really does nail exactly, like, if you're to look at, okay, well, what's a preferred Harvey Dent back origin story, especially as a kid? To me, it's perfection. I mean, Harvey's portrayed as idealistic but strained. He is looked at as morally rigid, but also, like, especially in the beginning where this guy looks solid and, he's completely on board with Jim Gordon and taking down this Rat King, okay? But, the one thing is that this, like, it's just like peeling an onion or breadcrumbs that the game leaves you with, is Harvey's, I guess, psyche is broken down. It starts at an early age where, Harvey's shows up at home and his dad's drinking and the poor kid. And it's like, it's not like it's a zoomed in image. Like, if you ever search it, it's like a bird's eye view and you're watching this kid ready to get pummeled by his father. And then there's another scene where his dad's flipping a coin, and it's really cool because that coin goes so high that it almost comes like right to your face as you're watching it up on the screen, and then goes down. And again, he's like ready to get beaten by his dad. And psychologically, that's traumatic to a kid. showing up at home constantly. And again, like just like the eye of the beholder, his dad is intoxicated, and he goes, actually shows up with Bruce Wayne, and they're actually really good buddies in this story. And Bruce is kind of there as a protector, because they kind of look out for each other. And Harvey says, like, Dad, I'm leaving. I am leaving this house. And all you see is Harvey's father throw a beer bottle across the room and says, well, heads, you'll be okay. Tails, you're going to get the beating of your life. And you get this heavy breathing from Harvey's father, and it's almost like he's laughing and smiling. You can almost hear it and visualize it at the same time. And all he says is, bad news, kid. And you can hear young Bruce just say, leave him alone. And the camera just kind of goes off. It's honestly such a powerful scene. Now, obviously during this story, we're seeing a lot of younger Harvey. And then in present day, Harvey Dent, who we don't know at the time, but he's actually the Rat King. And he's playing off as like, this guy that's going to bring justice and order for those who are just not heard and not seen. Kind of like him. And where at the end of the game, where there's this huge reveal, because as kids, Harvey Dent and Bruce Wayne said we're always going to protect each other. And it's revealed that Joe Chill was at Blackgate Prison, and Harvey Dent's got a gun right to his head. And it's not until Batman has to unmask himself and say, let Joe go, and Harvey just kind of breaks down. And it's so powerful. And, it just goes to show. So if you look at the Batman Arkham videos, the YouTube channel, we have Ryan Payton on, and one of the guys that he has is a legit doctor, trained psychologist, Dr. Eric Bender. Highly recommend you check out that interview. But one of the big things, like he worked on, he served as like the mental health subject as an expert for Arkham Shadow, which I thought was brilliantly done, because a lot of these criminals suffer from mental health. But no one more than Harvey Dent, where Dr. Eric Bender says Harvey Dent suffers from DID, which is dissociative identity disorder, which is pretty complex, but it was coined before as multiple personality disorder. And that's what Harvey Dent has. And, there was a loophole, and I'll mention that shortly, but one of the key aspects is having two or more personality traits. So Harvey Dent, the DA, and then here's the other personality trait of him as the Rat King. And you can kind of see, like, after he kind of gets unveiled, like it's at the end where there's the dark Harvey and that dark voice. And it's kind of creepy because Bruce Wayne goes to visit Dr. Leslie Tompkins, and she says to Bruce Wayne, like, listen, Harvey's there, but he's not alone. And it's kind of wild to just see, like, that gave me kind of chills, right? To see one person sitting there, but he's not alone, because there's two personalities. And I guess you can say the bad side associates them with we, and Harvey Dent, the good side, is kind of like at a loss and memory loss. So, like, just like I mentioned, like, Bruce Wayne or Batman, took off his mask and showed Harvey Dent who Batman was, which was Bruce Wayne. And at the time, near the end of the game, Harvey Dent realized, oh, Bruce, like, what the heck? And kind of was just like complete shock. And one of the fun little loopholes that Dr. Eric Bender and Ryan Payton revealed was, well, with DID, and like, listen, this is not news, this is obvious if you go do some research, but the one thing was, Harvey Dent, and with DID, there's also some memory loss, so they tend to forget. So, when Harvey sees Bruce Wayne walk in at the end of the game, he has no idea that he's Batman. So, what does all this have to do with The Batman Part 2? We're trying to figure out, well, how does Harvey become Harvey Dent and then eventually into Two-Face? And this is where Matt Reeves is injecting Christopher Dent. And they're trying to cast him. But it's like, we're trying to figure out, well, what's the purpose of Christopher Dent? Well, we know that he's the father. And our assumption, based on some awesome stories that were given to us, is that he's going to be abusive. And two stories I highly recommend that you check out: Batman Annual 14, Eye of the Beholder, and Batman Arkham Shadow, the video game. And if you don't own it, that's okay. You can quickly YouTube it and find all the scenes, and it'll give you a nice little insight. And it's hard to not wrap your head around someone that's been abused day in and day out, and for meaningless purposes and reasons. The kid was a good kid, and he's the one that's getting beaten up, and it all comes down to chance. And I say chance because of the flip of a coin. Now, if you look at Eye of the Beholder, what set Harvey completely off the rails was not necessarily the acid in the face, but more so him receiving a gift from his father, which happened to be the coin with the two heads. And that really ticked him off. In Batman Arkham Shadow, you have Harvey Dent, who's constantly visiting Dr. Leslie Tompkins, and you kind of get a glimpse as to there was a visit, what happened. Bruce Wayne's kind of waking up. But you can clearly tell that Dent is the one who's experienced trauma, just like Bruce Wayne did. It's just that they went through two different paths, where luckily Bruce Wayne's trauma didn't completely destroy him and suffer from a mental health. I mean, heck, who knows if he has depression and whatnot. But Bruce Wayne, we know, becomes Batman, but Harvey Dent becomes Two-Face. That's split personality, dissociative identity disorder. And to me, what this means for The Batman Part 2, directed by Matt Reeves, is, and keep in mind that this is grounded, right? The Batman universe is an epic crime saga, okay? We don't know if Bruce Wayne and Harvey Dent are going to be best buds, like the stories that tell us. But, maybe Christopher Dent is being used in a way to canonize the father with a defined name, because Christopher Dent doesn't technically exist. We know that Harvey Dent's father exists with no name. He has no name. But, Matt Reeves is going to explore the abuse and trauma angle, and I really do feel like it's going to be uncomfortable. But again, this is an epic crime saga, and it's psychological exploration as well. We got it from the Riddler. We really got it. We got 8 episodes of the Penguin, exploring who the Penguin is and how he came to be. And make no mistake, this to me is grounding Harvey's transformation into a realistic psychological origin. And if you listen to Batman on Film, you'll hear Bill say, he doesn't think that we're getting Two-Face in this movie. And I completely agree. I am for it. I don't even want to see Two-Face in this film. I want to explore just Harvey Dent. And again, get a deep dive psychologically as to who Harvey Dent is. And I really do hope that Christopher Dent does have, it's a meaty role. And we get to see exactly who Harvey Dent is, and maybe show some sympathy towards arguably one of the best Batman villains, right? And I hate feeling sympathy for bad guys, but certain people you can't help but feel sympathy for. Mr. Freeze is one of them, and Harvey Dent is the other. But and I find that there's some great Harvey Dent stories. The Long Halloween, the Dark Victory and Batman Annual number 14. Faces I also read, by the way, and it just, I really think that exploring the abuse and trauma angle would be fantastic. And I can't stop beating the drum of how good Arkham Shadow is. And it's funny, I got a message on Instagram from Ryan Haas. He is, if you don't know, he's been frequently on Batman on Film, and you'll also hear him on the Batman Book Club. And he's like, so good. Like, this is a game that is, to him, underrated and not talked about enough. And I completely agreed with him. And it's something where, it really gives you a good deep dive into Two-Face, and something that could be explored even further. Like, that ending in that video game is phenomenal, that you can kind of expand upon and learn a lot more. But to see where Bruce and Harvey were two best buds as kids and would go visit Dr. Leslie Tompkins for therapy, that's exactly what it was, and kind of grow together, it was kind of poetic in a way. Now, before I forget, there's one other scene where Harvey Dent is going to run to be district attorney, and Dent and Bruce Wayne are in Harvey Dent's father's house watching TV, and Harvey's dad goes, you're going to be running for DA? Is this a joke? Like, you're not going to get my vote. You're a Dent, and we self-sabotage. And Bruce kind of tries to lighten it and says, hey, you're going to get my vote. And, Harvey's dad just kind of goes and says, like, listen, this is just going to go up in flames, and because you're a Dent. And the whole city of Gotham is going to see it too once you become DA. And, it kind of, again, putting more doubt into Harvey. Harvey actually was fed up at that point that he punched his dad and then spit on him in that story. And it was just like, man, how cruel of a human being to be so ruthless to his son, where generally parents are very supportive and says, like, listen, I want you to be better than I ever was. And if you're a parent, or you look to your parents, and I am almost certain that you'll agree that, they want what's best for us. And I know, speaking as a father, I want her to be better than I ever was, and try to give her every tool to succeed, and just, enjoy all that life has to give, and just support, I just want to be supportive, and just like any parent should, is to be supportive of their child for their dreams and just trying to achieve their goals. And you get quite the opposite of Harvey's father in Arkham Shadow, where the man is just ruthless with no heart. He's cunning and clearly doesn't want his son to be better than he was. He was offended that, Harvey didn't tell him that he was going to run for DA. Like, unreal. But yeah, overall, when we're looking at, the origin of Harvey Dent, it's more of a hidden origin that we kind of have to look at. And because one is, who's Christopher Dent? Well, we know it's his father. Well, okay, like, what story are they going to inject into the Batman Part 2? And I think that this is going to be fun, and we'll get to kind of explore a bit more as filming starts to begin. I know that pre-production is underway. Robert Pattinson is on a Bosu ball and lifting a 5-pound dumbbell, just one dumbbell. And I have my tongue firmly planted against my cheek. In case you didn't know, follow along on Batman on Film socials. It's kind of funny what Bill's been posting. Anyway, but yeah, and I think that it'd be fun to kind of explore the Two-Face stories and see what else that there is. Because, yeah, the thing that sets Harvey off to become Two-Face is the acid in his face and the complete betrayal, and just, the instead of having justice, what happens now is that there's two sides, and Harvey becomes completely split. where there's Harvey Dent, the good man, and then Two-Face, the bad, where, obviously the Two-Face side wants to kill. And Harvey Dent doesn't believe in that, but he always leaves it up to chance and flips a coin. But yeah. Now, I've got a couple questions for you. Feel free if you want to shoot me a message or shoot me an email. Up to you. Okay? I'm going to give you a little bit, a couple of questions of what's your take? Okay? So, first one. Was Harvey Dent ever truly in control of his life? What's your take? Based on the stories that I've told you about, or that you've read. Hey, there might be one. But anyway, was Harvey Dent ever truly in control of his life? That's the first one. The second question, is Two-Face a villain or a victim? What's your take on that one? And the third and final question. If Harvey Dent's childhood was different, does Two-Face still exist? In my opinion, I say yes. And I can explore and expand as to why. But I feel like I'd be repeating myself. But with that being said, now, Harvey Dent, as we know, just wanted to bring order to Gotham. Clearly from his childhood, and even Bruce's. Like Bruce, his parents got shot and murdered, and he wanted to bring order to Gotham in one way. Harvey Dent, no different. But, he had a tough upbringing and wanted to bring order to Gotham. And in the end, he couldn't bring order to himself, unfortunately. Now, if you enjoyed this deep dive, where can you follow me? Because you can follow along on Beyond the Bad Signal on Instagram, which is at Beyond the Bad Signal. Listen, the socials are going to be in the notes, but I'll give that to you anyway. X/Twitter at Beyond Bad Signal, and email. You can email me at beyondthebadsignal@gmail.com. And, if you want to answer one of those questions, you have a question of your own, or you have recommendations, comments, hey, shoot them my way. I'd be totally looking forward to it. And here's another question that's just popping into my head, okay? Will the Batman Part 2 go full psychological horror on this? You have Robert Pattinson saying, it's going to be, they're taking some serious swings in this movie. And I can't wait. Yeah, take these serious swings. And this is why I love Solo Batman. I'm all for it. But yeah, no, that's about it for this episode. It's going to be a bit of a short one, shorter than usual, I think. We are Beyond the Bad Signal, and we are signing off. Peace.